I think what you've got to figure out is, can you reproduce what the owner doctor has produced? Can you go and can you get the patient base to trust you? Like, can your community trust you? Can you be winsome and win people over and get them through the door? Can you create a team and a culture that breeds patients referring more patients?
Welcome back to another episode of My Dental Playbook. I'm your co-host, Gary Bird. Along with my friend, Dr. Blake Hamblin, we're going to be bringing you hard-hitting episodes that break down how he's grown his practice from $200,000 to $500,000 in production in just under 12 months. He's going to be sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, and I'm going to be asking a lot of questions on how he's done it. In today's episode, we're going to specifically be talking about what it takes to go from associate to an owner doctor, to hiring multiple associates, and why sometimes people lose a lot of money and how to actually make money in that business model. Each step of the way is very nuanced, and you got to understand the difference between dental profit and entrepreneurial profit. We're going to dive deep into that. Also, at the end of the show, we're going to be giving away an opportunity for you to join us on a call to break down your scenario and get feedback on how to get this done if you want to grow. Stay tuned for this one. Hey, welcome back to another episode. And today we got a spicy one for you. We are going to be talking about a comment that was in Facebook that got a ton of interaction. It's actually a really good question, and most people were wrong in the comments. So let me just frame this really quickly. Let me frame this question for you. It says, how do practice owners who rely primarily on associates step back from clinical production and still sustain a meaningful income? While ownership entitles them to profit, that profit remains taxable and debt service obligations often remain in place. The question is then, is whether the economics of stepping back entirely, balancing taxable profit, loan repayment, and the opportunity costs reduce personal production create a viable path, or whether the model becomes increasingly strained without contained clinical contribution. So as I was reading this, I was like, dude, that sounds really confusing. I don't know how to figure this out. And I brought it up to Dr. Hamblin, and he said, oh, it's really easy. It's entrepreneur profit versus dental profit. So what did you mean by that, and how somebody else could understand that? We got a goal to get to 10,000 subscribers, and 85% of you are not subscribed to the channel yet. So make it happen. Subscribe. Tell them.
Subscribe.
Good job. Make it happen.
Yeah. So I think for whatever reason, we in the dental industry have conflated where our income comes from. And often if you ask a lot of dentists what their overhead is, it's 20%, 30%. Well, if that was the case, like everyone and their mom would want to be a dentist, because that doesn't happen, right? And so the analogy I like to use is we're McDonald's owner, and the owner of the McDonald's is also the same guy who flips the hamburgers. Well, if you didn't, as the owner, flip the hamburgers, would you still have to pay the hamburger flipper? Well, the answer is yes. And so in a dental office, the owner is also the hamburger flipper. They're the dentist doing the dentistry on the patients. So if you were to remove yourself out of that practice and put a new dentist in, you'd pay them 30% of production or adjusted production. And that would be dental profit. So if you do $1 million a year in top line revenue, and then you would get paid $300,000 a year for the dentistry that you provide. Anything on top of that would be entrepreneurial profit. So it would be money that the business makes. What a lot of time what happens is a lot of practices find out that they're not as profitable as they think when they go to sell to a DSO, because the DSO understands how to read a P&L, and they say, well, actually your business doesn't make money. You've made money as a dentist, but your business doesn't.
So if you remove yourself, your business would be worthless. It's very similar to just like if someone's a roofer, let's say, right? So someone goes out, learns how to put roofs on, not comparing dentists to roofers, don't worry guys, but just saying, like, we can understand this. So the roofer goes out, learns how to build roofs, and he makes good money. He's making $10,000 a month that he gets to take home. And then at some point he's like, man, I can't do all these roofs. I need to train somebody else to help me do these roofs. And they start hiring people. And eventually he can work himself out of a job. Now he's going to make less per job, but he's going to eventually make more overall as long as he keeps producing more roofs. So I think there's like that tipping point, right? Where is that tipping point where it's like, oh, it makes total sense now to hire somebody and bring them in. I'm going to maybe take a little bit of a step back, but now I need to grow this much more and I'll actually be making more money and working less.
Yeah. So I think the question you have to ask yourself, either as an owner or as an associate, is number one, is it worth the headache it's going to take to go and lead people? Because that is a headache. And is the profit on top going to be more than if you were just a really, really good associate? I found that, like, in a lot of cases, you actually would make more being a really, really good associate. Like, you have to be like highly involved in every decision and really, really want to be an owner to have the outsized returns that everybody on Facebook, when they make the Facebook post about all the stuff they do, it's like those people are totally invested. And if you're only partially invested, you're really not going to see that much entrepreneurial profit coming out of your dental practice, because to have your overhead in a place to where you can actually make the money that you want to make as a business, you've got to at least keep your overhead under 70%, because the other 30% is going to the dentist.
Yeah. So that's hard. So, okay. So let's talk about you, because you've actually done it before. So how much were you working before you hired an associate?
Well, I was working, 4 days a week seeing patients. My problem was a little bit different than most. And that's what I found just being in different mastermind groups and whatnot, is like per patient, we were incredibly more profitable than most dental practices. So I wasn't having to work Fridays and Saturdays and those things. But I think
But real quick, before you go on to that point, 4 days a week you're doing dentistry, but how often were you actually working on the business? Because I know you were doing a lot of that too.
Yeah, well, I had plenty of time in between patients to do that. Thank God we've solved that problem. And so I think what I found is that you've got to identify what the problem is that you're trying to solve. And for a lot of people, they're really busy, but they're not really productive. And there's a difference, and it's a meaningful difference. And I think to solve that problem, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. There's block scheduling. There's there's all sorts of different ways to do that. But the general rule of thumb is that you have to have 3 associates to replace your dental income. So if you've got 3 different associates, then you can assume that you can fully step away from the chair and fully replace your dentist income.
Got it. So then going back to the roofer, it was like he was making $10,000 a month doing one roof every 2 weeks, let's say, right? So he's doing these massive jobs for 2 weeks. He's making $10,000. Now he's going to hire other people. So instantly he's making less money. So now he's probably, to get to where he needs to go, he's going to need to do 6 roofs a month, right? He's going to need a 3x the volume that he's doing, because now he's making much less on every single roof. So when you hire an associate who's very skilled and they can do the dentistry, you need 3 of those to replace you 100%. Now, do most dentists want to replace themselves 100%, or do they just want to I feel like a lot of dentists like doing certain kinds of dentistry. They just don't want to do it, 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's what I've found is most people, and that's me, honestly. I enjoy doing dentistry. I don't really want to replace myself. I think we talked about this a while back on one of our other podcasts, but like I want to have Dr. Farrell or whoever else to replace me as the general dentist. And that's in my office. That's not just doing fillings. That's doing crowns. That's doing single implants. That's doing simple single extractions and bone grafts and stuff like that. Like, where I want to live is the full arch, the FMRs, the stuff like that. But it's replacing myself in that job, in that position, so I can go take a new job.
Yeah. Yep. And one of the things that we've talked about before is like, don't fix a problem until the problem's there, right? Don't fix problems you don't have. So you need to create problems. So one of the problems that people are going to hit right away is like, oh, 3 associates, great. Well, it's like, yeah, but what new patients are you going to give them, right? We were trying to build like a calculator for this in ChatGPT. And one of the things was like, ChatGPT was like, oh, you just need to market more and you need more new patients and it fixes all your problems. So how many new patients would you say typically 3 associates? Are you looking at 20 to 30 per associate?
Yeah, I think every associate is probably a little bit different, but I think a good rule of thumb is probably a good sweet spot's probably 30 per doctor.
Yeah, because it depends on the type of treatment they're doing, how fast they're doing, how many existing patients they're seeing. There's a bunch of nuance there. So I've heard everything from 20 to 40, depending on those things. So that puts you around 100 new patients. And then you're now not working and you're probably earning what you were earning back at 15 new patients. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah. And I would qualify like you are working. Your work just looks different.
Yeah, you're not doing dentistry. You're not doing clinical. You're not doing wet hand dentistry. Yes. So, okay. So then from there, you can back into some of the math, but you need particulars. So this isn't just as simple as, hey, I'm, follow this exact recipe and do this, because every single office is different. The demographic that they're serving is different. The marketing is going to be different. Hiring associates is going to be harder, easier, depending on experience, location, those kind of things. So for somebody who says, you know what, I'm burnt out, I'm working 5 days a week, I'm making less money because of all the things that are going on, how would you recommend, what's the first thing that they should do to start moving towards maybe not completely replacing themselves, but just moving in the right direction to maybe hiring associates and things like that?
Yeah, I think number one is just figure out what your problem is. Do you have a patient flow problem or do you have a busyness problem? And if it's a busyness, then you have to set aside time to basically say, I am no longer doing these specific treatment modalities, right? So you are now no longer going to do class 2 fillings. And then as time goes, you're now no longer going to do single crowns. You'll do 2 crowns, but you're not going to do 1. Or you do 3 crowns, but you're not going to do 1. And then as time goes, you're now no longer doing 3 crowns. You're only doing arches. So you're either doing prepping upper teeth, all their upper teeth or all their lower teeth. And you slowly dwindle basically your menu of services down because you have passed those services on to your associate. So a lot of times it means stop doing some of the stuff. And that's where owners have gotten a bad rap from associates, because associates go in and they say, well, all I do are the fillings and blah, blah, blah. Well, I get it. That's one way of doing this. But I think like if you were to ask Dr. Farrell why he likes being here is he can place implants, he can take out teeth, he can do all these things because I'm trying to replace the complete what I was, right? So what took us to 2.7 by myself was me. So how do I replace me?
So you need another dentist that does at least that much, but you're not going to be making the same amount of money, but you can make more from a percentage standpoint, or you're making less percentage standpoint, but you're making more money overall. So that's the part that people get. And this goes back to that hiring, how dentists get hired. It's so weird to me when dentists are like, is 35% good? And it's like 35% of what, bro? Like, I understand it. Like, I'm not and dentists are smart, man. Like, I couldn't be a dentist. Like, I wouldn't be able to pass the test and things like that. But I'm like, dude, how many new patients do they have? Like, what percentage of what? Or like, what treatment are you going to be doing? No, I didn't want the one at 30%. It's not as good. How do you know that? Like, you know what I mean?
I think some of it, Gary, honestly, is there's so many people in our industry that are willing to give us the answer if we pay them money that it takes us thinking away. Like you just said, you don't know anything and you're like, well, I know the answer to this question, but we just have overcomplicated the really, really simple. It's, well, what am I going to be doing? I mean, I saw something the other day on Facebook and they were asking about an associate contract. And I said, well, they're projecting a specific income for this person. And I was like, shouldn't have to project anything. Like, what did the last associate make? Like, it's really simple. So that's the question to ask is, great, what did the last associate make in this position? Because that's probably what I'm going to make.
Yeah, I was asked to come and speak at UCLA a while back at their dental school to the students and some of the alumni about how to pick an office to go work for. And I'm like, I'm a marketing guy. I don't know if like you really want this. And they're like, well, the problem that we're running into is our graduates are going to these offices and they have no work. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. Okay, I can tell you how to do that. And basically what I did is I was like, you need to figure out Okay, is the owner doctor going to be there? Yes or no? How many new patients are you going to see a month? Right? That's a fair, easy question. Every dentist should be able to answer off the top of their head. Around 40, around 30, around 20, whatever the number is. Great. And how many new patients are you going to give me? Let's say it's 20. So if you're going to see 40 and I'm going to see 20, that means you need 60 new patients. How many new patients have you averaged over the last year? 30. Oh, so how are you going to get me another 30 new patients? Like, it's really just like simple asking, getting them to commit to a number up front and then reverse engineering into data. And then instantly, like, oh, you don't know how you're going to feed me yet. You have no clue, and you're not going to give me all your new patients. So I'm not going to have anything to do.
Yeah. And to kind of go back to, I think what the original question was I think what they were getting at was maybe this was an associate that was debating on, I'm a high producer. I do a lot of dentistry. Would I make more if I became an owner? Like that's a common story, right? And so I think what you've got to figure out is, can you reproduce what the owner doctor has produced for you? So like, can you go and can you get the patient base to trust you? Like, can your community trust you? Can you be winsome and win people over and get them through the door? Can you create a team and a culture that breeds patients referring more patients? There's so much. It's like, can you be a quarterback? It's like, yeah, like there were so many, like I played quarterback in college, and like there's so many people that can throw a spiral. There's so many people that can throw a football. But that's not what made Tom Brady great. Like, what made Tom Brady great was he was a leader and all the intangibles. And the same thing's true with practice ownership. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to say at the beginning, was like, there's just so much that goes into it that you don't know until you get into it, and you just don't know what you don't know.
You don't even know how to account for it. It's like when people say, do you think I'm ready to have a kid? No. You're not. Like, have a kid, and then you'll realize, like, oh, and then you become, it's funny, the people who criticize my parenting the most are people who don't have kids. And I always say, hey, you should go have some kids and then tell me, how easy it is and if I'm doing it right or wrong. And it's people who have kids, we're much more sympathetic to the people that have kids. And I think being a business owner is the same way. And now let's rephrase this, because I read the question though as somebody who already owns a practice and wants to hire an associate. So does that change the equation at all for you? And like, how would you tackle it from that angle?
Yeah. So how I tackle it from that angle is basically deciding, I think you're in one of two categories. You're doing so much dentistry that you don't have time to focus on the business side. So that's where you guys helped get me. I was building the building, so I had contractors calling. Our practice was growing, so literally my whole day looked like do dentistry, try to figure out, like, within 30 minutes, try to squeeze like 3 hours worth of work into that, and then go home and be a great dad and a husband. And I finally was like, I can't do all this. And so that created the problem of, okay, bring on the associate. But the other question would be, like you mentioned, there's a prevalence of dentists that, like, either they just want to say they have an associate, or that maybe want to retire, think they might want to retire in the next couple of years, or there could be a host of reasons. But then they bring on an associate, and the associate just kind of sits there twiddling their thumbs because there's not enough work to do. Right. And so you have to decide, if you're ready to bring on an associate, which situation are you in? Because one, you're going to give up some income, but not a whole lot. Like, you're still going to have so much work to do that you're not going to really feel that.
You're probably bleeding some of the work up front, right? So it's like you have so many opportunities that you're stepping over dollars to pick up quarters, and it's like okay.
Exactly. But the other side would be, like, you don't have enough patients coming through the door. And that's where you have really bad associateships. That's like the Facebook post where it's like, my doctor hasn't paid me in 2 months. How can I, like, what do I do?
I'm not making any money because I don't see patients.
That's what happens in those situations, is because the owner quite literally just like holding on like white knuckle fist, and they can't get rid of it.
Probably thought, build it and they'll come. Right. So I've been getting 20 new patients forever. Let me hire this associate and more will come. and they don't.
Well, and like what we started out, and it's not the dentist's fault. Like most people don't. I have a business degree, so I get some of this stuff, but most dentists don't truly know. Like I would bet a lot of dentists don't even know what a P&L is. You know what I mean? Like much less know how to read one or understand one, and it's difficult. And again, it's one of those things. The more you do it, the more you learn. But like if you understand what's happening within your business, it's easier to make decisions. But when you don't understand what's happening in your business, you make decisions like I'm going to bring on an associate when I simply can't afford one.
Yeah. Yep. This has been a really good topic. Now, it's so nuanced, right? It's like, are you the associate that's trying to open up the practice? Are you the dentist that owns the practice? You're trying to hire your first associate. You're trying to get profitable to hire a second associate, or you just need more new patients and to create the problem of having too much to do, so that way you can hire an associate. Like all that comes into play. So one of the things Dr. Blake has committed to, which he's pretty awesome for doing this, is 60 minutes a month, one on a Friday, he's going to set aside, and it's part of our mastermind. You can find it on the site, and there's going to be a link down below, and you can jump in with us for an hour, and we can hash this out with you and try to figure it out with you and get you direct answers. And it's really, really cheap. I forget how much it is, a couple $100. We were talking about making it free, but we already knew that there were some people that would jump in that we wouldn't want there if it was free. So literally the money that's going into it, we're just going to put it right back into the podcast and do more awesome stuff for you. So if that's you, if you're like, man, I'm stuck, come join us. Hear directly from a doctor that's actually done it, and from other people who are figuring it out that are a little bit ahead of you. So anything else before we close out this show today?
No, I think that was a great little segment to go over. I think it's a really big problem in our industry, and I hope that we can provide some more insight, and especially even more at a granular level if you decide to come join those phone calls, because I think the business of dentistry can be simple. You just have to know what to look for, and unfortunately we just weren't trained to do that in dental school. We were trained how to be really good dentists, and we've all accomplished that. So I think there's more work to be done, including myself. So
it's really simple. You're working in the business. You just got to start working on the business. That's it. Like working in the business is doing dentistry. For me, it's learning SEO and ads and websites and those kind of things. And that's great. But then I got to learn how to work on the business, which generates more opportunity and really makes me elevate. And same to every single dentist out there. So great show today. Thanks so much for taking time out of your week to share your awesomeness.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the whole podcast. You're truly one of our greatest fans, and we really appreciate you. And we want to give you a $3,000 marketing credit to be used to grow your office. We have the link right down below. We'll meet really quickly. It takes about 15 minutes, and we'll tell you how you can save $3,000 on growing your office. And if you're an existing client, let us know, because this is for new clients, but we have some giveaways for existing clients as well. And it's great. So you'll love it. Thank you so much for listening. We really, really appreciate you.